What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one, and I just watched a movie called Terrifier 2. Yes, I'm doing back-to-back catch-up editions. I told you I was going to find this movie anyway, one way or the other. And I guess I found it before you thought I was going to find it, right? Starring David Howard Thornton, of course. Who else could it be? Laura Lavera and Elliot Falloon. I think I'm saying his name right. I have no earthly idea. First of all. So apparently, well, not apparently, this is the truth. This movie has sort of the franchise has a prequel to it. It's called All Hallows Eve. Our boy Art is in the first story and the third story. Okay? Now, I've been just kind of shocked that no one has ever brought this up. I had to find this on Tubi. Accidentally, looking for Terrifier 2, found All Hallows Eve. And no one ever said a word about the prequel. I can see why, watching it, and safe to say the only parts that were worth it were the first part and the third, because those included Art. But still, not one word. And that's why I have to talk about horror spinoffs and prequels. Okay? And the first one I'm getting down to is, of course, All Hallows Eve. Yes, this man is in the first and the third. The first one's a little weird because it's kind of a cult that he's kind of, I guess, assisting or working for. He brings the victims to this cult. The cult does their thing. I don't know if he's getting paid for this or what, but somehow he's connected with this. I don't know why. It's weird. There's no explanation for that. And then the last story, he just comes back and he does his own thing. He has his own little solo act going on there. All right. He shows you what Art can do, finally. And that's the first time you get to see Art's work of art. Okay. I guess you could say it like that. All right. And it's just kind of weird that it's just never mentioned. I just want to say it again. It's never brought up in any conversations about this film or anything. Weird. And then we have Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. This was I'll call it a spinoff because Michael Myers was not in there. Technically he was not in there. He was on the TV. You know, somebody brought that up a while ago. They were like, well, Michael Myers is in there. Just look. And he's on TV. He's on the TV. All right. That's it. That's as much as you're going to get. More than that, I really forgot what the movie was about. It's been a while since I've seen this. And so I have no idea what the plot's even about. I'm assuming there's a witch in there somewhere in the movie. But besides that, I just don't know what was the whole idea to the film, okay? I know that the original idea of it was that every Halloween movie is going to be different. And they didn't want to even do 2 movies with Michael Myers. And so they had to bring him back for some reason. I wonder why. But, you know, I'll have to go back and watch that Season of the Witch thing again. Just to get a good little idea of what I might have missed. All right. And then we have Siren, starring Lilith. You know, the one was in the VHS movie. Okay, one of the little stories at the beginning. One of the best stories in VHS, might I add. All right. Now, Siren, I haven't quite seen a movie like for real. I saw like a YouTube video kind of fast breaking it down, and the movie seemed a little interesting. I think I'm wondering why have I never sat down and actually watched this entire movie yet. It looks like it's something that, you know, I might do a review on or something, maybe, because her character's always been, you know, quite the odd one. You know, just the way she carries herself and just how weird she is, and just she's one of those awkward killers. She doesn't understand how the world works and how humans work, and for that it's like a wild animal. It's like those people who buy those cats they have now that all they do is growl, and then they bring them home, and then they wonder why half of their family members got mauled and scratched up. It's one of those situations, okay? And then we have Pearl, who was first seen in X. My question with this, if Pearl had came out first and then X, would Pearl have the same hype as it did coming out second? I've always wondered about that, because people love Pearl more than they love X. And half of that reason is knowing who Pearl was going to become in the end, or already knowing who she was from watching X. So if you didn't know who the hell this was, and you were watching this the whole time, would you still love this movie as much as you did when it was the original order of the movies? That's a good question. That's a good question to ask. And I'm still waiting for that third installment. We're all waiting, okay? And then we have Freddy's Nightmares. Now, you're probably asking, what the hell is this? Freddy's Nightmares was an actual TV show based on Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, and Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger was the host, kind of like, the Crypt Keeper and all that. And he cracked jokes. And, of course, he's hilarious too. This show wasn't that popular because it wasn't really as scary as it was funny. Split it like that. But still, I still want to go back and watch the entire thing over again, because maybe there's some good storylines that I might have missed out on, or just really didn't pay attention to it at my young age that I watched it the first time. And now that I'm older, I might get these storylines. You know what I'm saying? And I would consider this more of a spinoff, not a prequel, because it all just happened at the same time. Now, there is a prequel episode in there, that kind of happens between the parents murdering Freddy or whatever because of what he did and da-da-da. So that's kind of a prequel, and then it just goes off into its own thing. All right, and Freddy pops up every once in a while in the storylines, but not really. Not really. So, I mean, it's kind of a hybrid prequel spinoff. We'll put it like that, okay? And last but not least, Annabelle from the Conjuring franchise. This is the only movie I saw from the Conjuring franchise. Now, I've heard everybody talk about how much they love Conjuring and, it's a great movie. And this is just, you got to see this. Nothing about the Conjuring ever really just pulled me in. I'm sorry, I don't know why, but it didn't. And then, they had The Nun, which I'm definitely not going to go see. I'm not going to see The Nun. All right, that's a lost cause right there. And there's another one that's connected to it too, that I should probably see that just to see what I'm missing. We'll think about it, okay? And now we have Art the Clown from Terrifier 2. All right. Or just the whole storyline of that, and All Hallows Eve. And my question is, does All Hallows Eve even wrap up or tie up with the storyline of part 1 or 2? Is it necessary? We're about to find out. Let's go. Terrifier 2. For those who don't know, for those who are not aware, it's been some years. It's been some years since this came out. It's been so many years that Terrifier 3 is about to come out. Matter of fact, I think it might already be out. I'm not even sure. Okay, so if you don't know by now, you're getting penalized. And I should penalize myself for not watching it this whole time. Well, there was the whole ban thing, which made it hard to find. So can't blame me for that. But other than that, yeah, you're getting penalized, okay? Terrifier 2. Pretty much just coming off of Terrifier 1, of course. Now, if you haven't seen 1 or the ending of it, please fast forward this now. Spoiler alert coming up. You ready? Here we go. It comes off from him, being in the coroner's office or lab or whatever, and the whole lights go off and on, and some voodoo stuff happens or whatever, and his body comes back alive. Of course, he kills the coroner, takes his eye, because, he needs an eye, and takes his brain and eats it for some reason. Right? And here we have Art the Clown reborn again. Okay, and he's going around doing his usual thing. Meanwhile, we have this girl named Sienna, who is somehow connected to Art the Clown through her dad, who saw visions and went crazy and died in a fire back in the day or something like that. He was drawing pictures of a lot of stuff that Art the Clown did for some damn reason. I don't even understand it. That wasn't even explained clearly. Okay, but yes, all that happened. And she's ready to go out for her little Halloween extravaganza, and her brother is too, but her brother wants to dress up like Art the Clown because the brother's a little disturbed. Kinda, not all the way, but he is. And everything is seeming somewhat normal until she actually bumps into Art the Clown in the costume store. And this just sets off a whole domino effect of weird and scary crap throughout the film. All right. And that's the plot of the movie. How is she going to, what does she have that's connecting to Art the Clown? How is she going, what is the key to her through Art the Clown? What does she have to do with Art the Clown? Why is she such a big deal? That is the whole plot to the movie. All right. Positives. This movie turned up the violence button. It turned it up a notch. A couple of notches. Okay, there are things in this movie that they don't hold back on. Okay, they don't hold back on it at all. The first person to get killed, this black dude who just was trying to do his job. Now for some reason Art the Clown has this whole issue with people who are trying to do their job. All right, and when they tell him, what's on their mind and how he's being a bad customer, he doesn't like that. Let's just put it like that. I'm not gonna say what happens to the black dude, but damn, man, why can't we be smart? And why do we have to be first? And then just throughout the movie, it's just a lot of horrible stuff happening, and it's more in your face, and it's not holding back. And oh yeah, by the way, he's seeing visions of the first girl he killed. Not going to say how he's seeing the visions and how he sees her physically. All right. But, you get the hint. You get the hint. Anyways. Second positive. This had a higher quality of production. Flat out. You could tell that they put a lot more money into this film. And I really appreciate that as well. Okay, the first one was okay. It was okay. Trust me, it was okay. But we knew it was low budget. This one's still low budget, but there's a lot more thought put into it. There's an extra zero behind that budget on this one. Maybe a couple of extra zeros. Just the way it was written, and there's a dream sequence that Sienna has. That's how it kind of starts it kind of gets the whole ball rolling with the violence. And so I didn't count that one as kills because it's a dream sequence. I don't count dream sequence kills, but that was insane. That was insane. And the way that was thought out, and then she wakes up to the fire, and then that's already connected to something else, that in her past. And so that was all crazy and how that was written out. And this whole thing, it reminded me of the old school Freddy movies and Michael Myers and Jason, how they had that one character who has a connection to the killer somehow. You just don't know how it's gonna end out, right? So I like how that was written, most definitely. All right, and then of course the plot is better fleshed out. It's way more fleshed out plot than the last one. Okay, you don't have to sit there and just watch him mindlessly killing people for no reason because, he has this attraction to that one chick, and then he and then everybody else has to die in his path. It's not something mindless like that. Like I said earlier, there's a whole thing, the connection between Sienna and Art, and the father and the brother, which they think might be crazy himself because he wants to be Art the Clown. And then what is so special about Sienna, and it all ties up. The plot is a lot better fleshed out. It's better written. Yeah, it's written better than the first one. And yeah, it just, I like how the father wrote, or he drew an illustration of her uniform and her outfit in his drawings, and that's what he wanted her to be, that kind of woman. And she ended up making the outfit for her Halloween costume, and it's all very interesting in how it ties up. Trust me, there's a special weapon in here that they keep kind of going to, which will come in very, very handy later on. And Art's got his weapons already in the bag, so I like how it all plays out. Okay. Last positive. This had a satisfying build up to the end. All right. We already know there's a connection between Art and Sienna. Okay. There's some kind of connection going on here. I thought it might have been this, and I think I'm wrong, but I could still be right. I'm not sure, because that wasn't really clearly explained all the way. Why the father sees the visions or anything like that. But what was he a victim of Art the Clown? None of that was explained, and maybe it doesn't need to be explained. Maybe part 3 will do a little better explanation of that. Just leave it for mystery. But the build up to the end, and knowing that Sienna is built for something special, the way it plays out at the end is awesome. And you just got to stick through it. With the ending, how it ends, you got to stick through it, because you're going to think, oh, no, this ain't going the way I think it's going. And then something happens that's going to satisfy you. Knowing that this is how it's going to work out, it works out the way it should work out. Okay? I'm not going to say too much without saying too much. It's going to work out in the end. It's going to all work out, and then the build up the build up sets you up. The build up just sets you up for the conclusion so perfectly. Okay? So I like all of that, how it all just was used to its perfect use. Put it like that, without saying too much or giving too much away or spoiling the movie, because a more detailed explanation of this would definitely spoil that. All right. Negatives. Does Art have GPS built in his head, or is he a hacker? I wonder, how does Art know what right house to go to? Like, how does he know the friends and the friends of his victim, and how he knows where their house is at? How does he know where to go? They don't live close to each other. He knows every house to go to perfectly and where to go. And he is a psycho killer, but does he have like a built-in compass in his head or something? I try to figure this out. I don't understand how he knew it. He knew where the victims' houses were and everything. I don't think he uses GPS. He doesn't have a phone. So what's going on with that? That was so weird. Like, he knew what time to come to the house, and if somebody wasn't going to be there, and when somebody was going to be there, he just knew it. I don't understand that. And that might be a question I need to ask with other killers too. I probably should ask that. Another negative. The reason this got banned might be the weakest reason I've ever seen in my life. Now, don't get me wrong. The scene that was spoken of, it's horrific. It's very violent. It's almost hard to watch at certain instances, but there are other scenes in here that are hard to watch too, which I'll get to in a minute. Okay, I'm not going to say what happened. I'm not going to say when it happens. The internet has already told you enough. Okay, but I'm just going to say this. The way that they spoke about this, it made it seem like it was going to be a lot worse. It was going to be a whole lot worse. Okay, and then I have to say this too. A woman, okay. Spoiler alert. All right, spoiler alert. And here we go. A woman in part 1 got split in half. I'm just saying, from the rooter to the tutor. Okay, and they didn't ban that movie. Of course, I don't think Terrifier ever comes to the theater, but they didn't ban it. But you banned this movie for a certain scene of a certain character, which I'm not going to mention. You banned this movie for that scene, and it's not even close to what some other scenes I've seen go on in like movies like Saw. Any Saw movie. It's been way worse than that. Way worse. How can you, what was the reason? Somebody has to please tell me the legitimate reason this movie got banned in the first place. It can't be that scene. It can't be that scene. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, all right? And now let's go to that third negative. There is a scene in here that should have had that movie banned. This scene should have got the movie banned quick, okay? Let's just say some poor fellow loses a member of his body that no man should ever lose. I'm tired of guys in horror movies losing their members and no one cares. But when something happens to a woman character, oh no. Oh no. Woe is her. Oh my gosh. They're all victims. They're all victims in this horror movie. Why are the men just put to the side as soon as they get their members dislocated from their bodies? No one cares. No one ever cares about the guy getting his member dislocated. And it's such a horrible situation every time. It's never an easy situation when the killer decides to do this to a man in a movie. It's painful to watch for me as a man. No man wants to see that. No man wants to see that. But no one ever complains about that or bans the movie for it. That's insane. That's completely insane to do this. It seems a little odd that people would go about their way with this horror movies like this. Why would you choose to do this to one character, but the other character gets the pass? I don't understand. I don't understand it. All right, but I'm still giving this movie a hell yes. This movie was better than the first one. Like I said, better fleshed out, better production. Okay, the kills were more violent. It can only go up from here. I'm sure Terrifier 3 is going to be a smash hit. I hope so. Okay, press that like button, share, and you better subscribe.